So, what does Oatmeal Joey Arnold think about masks? Well, thank you for asking. It's like nobody ever asked me this. I think that you can do whatever the hell you want, wear a mask or not. You could wear a mask if it's really dusty, there's pollen outside, you're allergic to flowers or whatever the case might be. You could do whatever the hell you want, but government should not be forcing us to do stuff because it's not their job to prevent problems from happening. They're there to correct problems after they happen, not before. So that's the role of government and police, primarily, historically. You do something bad, you hurt people, they come in to correct the problem. They don't come in before and say, hey, you know, someday you might become Hitler and kill people. We're gonna stop you from doing a bad thing that you might do tomorrow. It's like love. It's full of risks and problems, and it's like, are you gonna ban love and relationships because someday you might get hurt? Or you might hurt somebody that you love, your family, or a new lover of some kind. And you might break their heart. That's terrible. Maybe government should step in, or you should step in and stop yourself from ever loving people. And that is life. It's full of risks and problems, and government's not there. It should not be there to just try to tell us, you can't do this, you can't do that, because something bad might happen someday. It's very easy. It's very simple. What you gotta do. If I hurt you, if I kill you accidentally, purposely, whatever the case might be, you take me to court. You should take me to court. That's what the court is for. Let's have a trial. Sue me or something. Before the judge say, Your Honor, Joey Arnold hurt me. He killed me. Because he has COVID. He totally hurt me. He killed me. I don't know, I got sick. He had COVID. Because he doesn't wear a mask. That means he must have got COVID from somebody or got it from somewhere. Maybe he was hanging out with Batman. He's a bat. He got me COVID. And then the judge can simply say, you know what? You're right, Joey Arnold. You're under arrest, you're going to jail, and you're going to pay money because you got that guy COVID and he got sick or he died. And you're going to jail. Simple. And that's all you got to do. But that happens after. And the Bill of Rights in America has these amendments. Especially like the 5th and the 6th Amendments. These amendments are there for a reason. Especially that amendment about the right to a speedy trial. You can't have a trial if you're preventing problems from happening. If there's no problems, then there's no trials because you just stop it. And then there's no reason and no need for it. You don't need a court. No problems. Nobody's getting sick. Nobody's hurting either. Because there's no guns anymore. Because you give it all up. Because Biden's like, hey, we're giving it up. We're going to give it up. We gotta give it up because we're gonna prevent problems from ever happening ever again. We're not gonna have to do that. We don't have to have problems in the world. You're gonna ride your bicycle with the training wheel because you're a baby. That's all you are. And then people are like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I'm giving up all my rights because I want to be safe. I want to be secured. I want to be loved, but I don't want any risk of rejection. I don't want the possibility of something not working. I want everything to be perfect. And I don't want free will anymore. I don't want to think. I don't want to walk into the world and try to figure out what do I have to do. I want everything to be equal. And perfect and straight and all figured out for me. I don't want to worry. And that's the fundamental philosophy behind wear a mask. People want to wear a mask because it's easier to go with the flow of things, and that's where some people are. I don't know how many people, You could say a lot of people. You could say the majority of people around the world do, in fact, comply. But the good news is that a lot of people are standing up and saying we're not going to wear a mask. And there's a lot of reasons why. And revolution happens simply when enough people stand up. It could be 1% or 10%. It doesn't have to be 100% or 90%. But that's how America started in the late 1700s with 1776. And after that, with the formation of the United States of America, with George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, people stood up. People did what they had to do. Now we live in a world where we may not be fighting those kinds of wars. Instead, we fight information wars. And that's how we make the world a better place. And I am a strong believer of the rule of law. And I simply believe that you should take me to court. And I should get in trouble after I do a bad thing, not before I do a bad thing. And that was the main premise behind what I was saying, the little skit I did a second ago, where I say, Your Honor, Joey Arnold got me sick because he has COVID. Then if I have to go to jail or pay a fine, that's fine. Even though I may not have COVID, but if the judge wants to rule it and say, yeah, he has COVID, I'm sure he has COVID, without looking at the evidence, or they can make up evidence, whatever you want to do. But at the end of the day, the jurors or the judges can say whatever they want to say, whatever the hell they want to say, they can say it and say, yeah, these people have COVID and they cause property damages. Unlike Black Lives Matter, they're totally peaceful. You caused microscopic damages and fire within the hearts and the minds and the bodies of people. Never mind private property, buildings burning in the background, CNN saying it's a peaceful or mostly peaceful riot. It's a riot, but it's not a riot. Riots are terrible. It's a rally. It's a peaceful thing. And it's terrible, but it's not terrible because we said it's not terrible, even though we got people undercover, showing videos from Project Veritas saying, hey, yeah, we're doing propaganda. Yeah, and then after we're done with this COVID, now we're going to go to climate stuff, like we do sometimes every once in a while. And that's where we are. And I was just thinking to myself, what can I do? What can I do right now? There's a lot of ideas that goes around in my head. And I do a lot of writing on my blog on Hive. And I look around the internet and I look at stuff and I try to share it and I try to pass it on. And I come up with a lot of ideas and stuff, and I don't do half of them even, but I thought that was a good thing to get out to the world, and I've said these things before, and I think that this video has good ideas that may already be out there, which is good. I would love to see them and pass them on. Some of the ideas that I presented in this video included a principle of how law enforcement should be focused on correction and not prevention, and government should be limited as much as possible. I sympathize or empathize with Anarchy, with the anarchists. I'm not saying that we can definitely live in a world with no government, but that's like a hypothetical
idea, just like communism and socialism, is hypothetical and theoretical, and we don't live in a world where either of those two extremes can happen. And so we don't really need to be like, oh, I don't want communism, I don't want that kind of world, or I don't want anarchy. You can't have anarchy, because once you start getting rid of government, then new governments start to come up like weeds in a garden. And on the other side of that, you can't really have communism, because what happens is, you have centralized government, and what you end up having is authoritarianism and totalitarianism and the plutocracy and technocracy and whatever else you can imagine, and a big combination of stuff, monopolies and stuff, and that's what happens. And we argue about stuff that does not happen, as opposed to the real threats, and the bigger threats in the world are the globalist elites, the people that come in and trying to control both sides, and similar to the Emperor in Star Wars, and funding both sides of the war in the first 3 movies of Star Wars, and with the Clone Wars. And it's like, that's what's happening in the real world. You have people behind the puppets, behind Puppet Biden, and all the other puppets, and they're just doing things, and we're focused too much on puppets. It's good to let people know about the puppets, but we have to also at the same time focus more so on the underlying problems, like the real roots of the problems. And I remember my older sister talking about that, and at the time I didn't really think too much of it. It was around Thanksgiving in 2001, and I was just recording this in the car, her car, near our house. We're just going off, all of us, all 4 of us kids, siblings, and my older sister was talking to my brother, and I don't remember the whole conversation exactly, but the part that I recorded was they were talking about Osama bin Laden, and my brother is like, we gotta kill him because he's evil, and because of 9/11 just happened like a month or 2 ago at that point. And so he's focused on, we gotta kill the bad guys, and I don't disagree. And my older sister is like, but what's the root of the problem? And how do we go about trying to stop that or whatever? I never forgot about that, and I think that's a very powerful thing to say. It's a good perspective, and it's something we gotta ask ourselves every day. And I'm running around with all these things I try to do, and then I ask myself every once in a while, are you doing the wrong things? Are you spending too much time doing this or doing that? And I try to cut back, because it's like I feel like I'm doing too many things, and I gotta focus and figure out what am I most effective at, and focus on that, and take it a step at a time, a day at a time, and don't worry too much about specific things, because things can improve, and that's good. I get worried a little bit, and it's difficult because I want things to be perfect, and I want to be able to do things and finish them, and I come up with ideas all the time. I brainstorm and stuff, and try to write it down. I try to record it. I try to put it on my blog. I put my blogs on a couple different websites, and I try to talk about that, and I try to spread things around, and I think it's very important, but I can get lost on trying to juggle all these plates, as Lionel Nason says, these plates, you know, you're juggling, and you're going from one topic to the other, and you're going back and forth, and I think it's powerful to get to the root of the problem, and that's part of the reason why I made this video. And I started off with the analogy or the focus on the debate between prevention and correction. And I forgot to say I should start this video all over again, or edit this video. Maybe I should edit this video. And another thing I gotta say, I should have said at the beginning of the video, or close to the beginning, was this question of, okay, if government and law enforcement should not be focused too much or at all on prevention, then who should? Whose job should it be? Well, the parents, or at least the teachers and the people, the friends, the counselors, the pastors, the whoever who are investing in the children, and you raise up a child in the Lord, or at least in these principles in philosophy that can ground the person and help the person make choices. And you can't totally prevent everything, and that's what law enforcement would be for, primarily, so that they can come in and get the people, to get the weirdos, to get the whoever who are going to make the bad choices. But you do the best you can as a person is young, and you invest in their lives. And it's not that police can't, it's not like government can't, it's just that centralized power will do the wrong thing and have done the wrong thing, and that's what they do. Whether you like it or not, that's what they do, and that's why you have to always pull away, because it's a tumor, as Arnold Schwarzenegger would say. It's not a tumor. It's not a tumor. It's not a tumor. He said that in the kindergarten cop movie. His face got swollen. He said it's not a tumor. But government is a tumor. It's a cancer. It grows. It's good and it's bad. It can be good, but it becomes bad because people and forces and principalities and powers infiltrate it. And it's a terrible thing, and we always have to be conscious of the powers that be, or the powers that should not be, and we should always try to break them up. Break up the government, and now especially corporations and technocracy and those types of things. We should be focused on that as much as possible. We should be focused a lot on forensic audits in different counties across America, trying to take back and try to stop the steal of 2020 with Biden stealing the election from Trump. There may have been as many as, like, I would imagine 50 million votes that were influenced or interfered with in some kind of way, either for Biden or against Trump. There may have been as many as like 10 million votes that were not counted for Trump, and then other votes that were for Trump changed to Biden. As many as, like, I don't know how many, but it's part of the how many votes that Biden got that he didn't really get, some of those came from Trump, and so that would have been probably as many as like 40 million at the most, because Biden ended up with 80 million. He probably only got less than 40 million. It's really hard to say, because then you got, we also had fake news everywhere, and you had the pandemic, COVID, in 2020, getting as many people as possible to vote for Biden. And most people that voted for Biden were just voting against Trump. And so that could have been as many as like 40 million, and the other 40 million were fake or something. There were also duplicate votes, ballots going through the machines 10 times, 20 times for one ballot being counted many, many times. And the machines don't know. They just count. There's a ballot. It doesn't know. It doesn't check signatures and stuff. That's the purpose of having not just an ordinary audit, which they've had a few times in a few different counties in America, like Georgia or Alabama, but you really got to have forensic audits and look at everything as much as possible. And really got to push the military to call for a new election, and we got to take it day at a time, county at a time, try to take back as many counties as possible, because there have been a lot of votes that were stolen or never counted or fabricated. A big combination of things happened, and we saw a lot of it. It was recorded and everything. A lot of it, we saw it. A lot of us saw, and it's been on videos and stuff, and they try to ban it off, to try to remove it off big tech. And it's still out there on alternative media, and that's good. And we need to just continue to talk about it and try to, call our county people, the judges, the whoever you're supposed to call, and try to push them for audits and stuff. And audits are really, really powerful, and it's happening in some places, and we got to continue to do it and not stop. And that would be the role of government, in the sense of correction. And it's a powerful thing, because crimes happen, and we shouldn't be focused so much on the prevention of, oh no, you might get sick, you might die, you might get sick, a bad thing might happen, and bad things might happen, you might get sick, so we gotta lock you up before you do the crime, before. That's prevention, and I'm against it, and there has to be a lot of emphasis on that, and I need to make like a PragerU style video with graphics and stuff. And then I was thinking of, okay, oh man, my video editor is not that good, and I need a faster computer with more RAM and stuff, and I gotta work on that stuff. And I just want to upload this video and not worry about that in the moment. I need a better mic, and not have so much noise in the background and stuff. And I think about all those stuff because I'm a video editor too, part-time, whatever. I do stuff, I've been doing stuff for a long time, but just want to say that there's so much we got to do, we got to continue to do, and there is a lot of hope, at least. I'm a little bit disappointed that it looks like, from my perspective, that a lot of bad things are happening, and it looks like Trump didn't do enough. Not to say that he didn't do a lot. He did a lot of stuff, but I feel like at this point, it's really, really, really up to us. And it's possible that Trump is doing some things in the background, but I don't want to emphasize too much on what might be happening. We don't know. And there's some weird stuff happening, and it's not to say that some things are happening, that some people are doing some things. I'm not going to say it's not happening. I'm not going to say certain things are not happening, good things. But you don't know. You never don't know if it's going to be enough. So whether you're part of the QAnon stuff or not, you should not just sit there and do nothing. That's my criticism. It's a main thing that I go off of a lot of times. Like, I'm gonna look at what can I do, what can you do, and that's part of the motivation that I have. I get up in the morning and I go on social media and I go on Hive blog and I go on steamy.com, hive.blog, and I go on BitChute, I go on Gab, Minds, and I try to go on all the other places, as many places as possible, and I try to spread stuff, and you should too, and we should do stuff offline too, and I have a passion for that, and used to have a passion for that, because it's all you got. But at the same time, like, you know, it's like online we do this, and offline what do you do? And people gotta prepare, and you gotta have some, you gotta have some food, and you gotta plant some gardens, you gotta own some land, and you gotta try. And it may not be a lot, but if you just have an apartment, try to get a pot, try to get some dirt, try to grow some stuff by your window. If you don't have land, start out small. You can do it. That's all I got to say for now. If you don't know, I'm Oatmeal. And I don't know how Alex Jones does it. I don't know how other people do it, like talk for a very long time. Maybe I should just talk quieter. I guess it's a muscle. Your vocal throat is a muscle, and you got to work it out and slowly work it up. And then it becomes stronger and stronger. And that's life. You got to do that. And you got to do everything you can. See you later on the pep side.